Hello, my name's Mo Hill. I'm running for mayor of Toms River on the Republican ticket, row A. You can count on me to preserve the quality of life in Toms River. We're going to look to preserve open space in Toms River. We're also going to strictly enforce all our building and zoning codes. And we're going to look to keep taxes low with shared services and increased efficiencies in Town Hall.
Welcome back. My name is Mo Hill. I'm running for mayor of Toms River. I'd like to take this opportunity this afternoon to talk about planning board, zoning board, and some of the literature that you may be getting in the mail. I think we need to clarify some of that. First of all, there seems to be some misunderstanding as to what the zoning and planning boards do. The planning board is appointed by the mayor. The members are appointed at they rotate every year, 2-year, 3-year tour. They are in charge of looking at large site plans, major developments. They mainly grant waivers, such as a design waiver or waiver of curbs. If you're going to build a house or a development and let's say you're on the barrier island where there are no curbs or sidewalks, you would apply for a waiver from the planning board. The zoning board's appointed by the council, and their job are variances of zoning regulations. In other words, if you want to build a pool and you need a 5-yard setback, but you're only going to be able to get 4 feet instead of 5 feet, you go before the zoning board and you get a variance for that 1 foot. As we go forward here, for another example of the zoning board would be with a 10-acre house of worship. If you wanted to build on less than 10 acres, you'd have to go before the zoning board and ask for a lot size variance. You'd also have to, if you're in a residential area, ask for a use variance. Use variance would be if you had a home, let's say on a major highway like let's say Church Road, a county road, and it's a residential area and you want to have a daycare center, you've got to go before the zoning board and get a use variance. So again, the zoning boards deal with variances, the planning board deals with waivers and large site plans. And I'd like to go over some of the literature that you've probably been getting in the mail. It's repetitious. You'll hear a lot about 3,000 homes. Where does that figure come from? We have a mandate of over 3,000 homes for affordable housing, what used to be called COA. Rounds 1 and 2, we had 1,735 units. Round 3, we were initially given a quota of 2,400. We went before the courts, and the court master decided 1,285. So if you put those together, that's what a 3,000 figure comes. 3,020 homes are affordable units, mandated by the state, mandated by the Supreme Court. There's another item that you're going to get. You're going to see that when I was on the council, we had a $51 million grant to developers after Sandy. The facts on that are that the $51 million were HUD funding, which came through CDBG funding through the New Jersey Home Mortgage Finance Agency, which only finances affordable units. All that money went to 100% affordable units out off of Massachusetts and Cox Crow Road. Now you've also seen some literature that says the lighting, we're talking about more lighting in the northern section of town for the Orthodox. That's not factual. There was a meeting held with the BPU, the New Jersey State Clean Energy Committee, the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and a grant writer that we have at Town Hall. The situation was there's $500,000 in clean energy grants to switch the mercury and sodium vapor lights over to LEDs. The LEDs, number one, they're cost effective, they save energy, it's a green product, and they last longer. So we were looking to switch out the light bulbs from mercury vapor and sodium vapor to the LEDs. There was some dispute about how much. It was interesting how many light fixtures we have in town. JCP&L says we have 4,500. Our CFO said we're paying JCP&L based on about 9,000. So there was a discrepancy. It wasn't even close. So we asked our engineer to do an inventory to find out what the total number of lights are in town. It's going to be somewhere probably between 4,500 and 9,000. Again, the LED lights, if you drive around and you see what looks like a very big bright light on the street and it has a flat bulb, there's no curved bulb down below it, it's probably an LED. They throw off a lot more light, they're brighter, As I said, less cost and more efficient, and they last longer. So that's what that meeting was about. It had nothing to do with additional lighting. Any additional lighting would go through our engineering and police department. You would send a request into the township, the engineer would evaluate it, the police department would get an evaluation on it, and if needed, we'd go back to JCP&L and request another light. You may have also seen in Facebook posts that my opponent, Jonathan Petro, said that we're going to be building 10-story houses and apartments downtown. That is not in the plan. He should have known that. There was a meeting on September 4th where the Chamber of Commerce and the Business Improvement District had a presentation by the developers, Capadogli, where they showed that these apartments are going to have 2 stories of apartment garages and then 4 stories of apartment complex. So the maximum would be somewhere in the range of 5 to 6 floors, not 10 floors. We're not going to have any high-rise apartments downtown. And in addition to that, this is just the start of the redevelopment project. I had a call from a resident the other day who said, you can't put all these apartments downtown, you can't build 1,500 apartments, it's not going to work. I said, no, we're starting, it's going to be phased in. There'll be 160 units and 300 units, and they'll be phased in, phase 1 and phase 2. As they rent out, they'll go to the second phase. When we're talking about downtown redevelopment, it's going to be mixed use. There's going to be townhouses down there. There are going to be condos. It's not all going to be apartments. That's a misnomer. The apartments give us an immediate downtown presence, which is what we need. We need people living down there. As we have more people living down there, then you're going to be able to generate interest into townhouses and condominiums. And we're going to be located near the hub downtown with the bus terminal, where you can get easy access into New York City. We think that's going to stimulate downtown economy. These apartments will have a restaurant underneath, they'll have a coffee bar, they'll have an internet cafe. In addition, we're going to see growth in the downtown area. With just the Allegiant apartments across from Toms River South, I believe there are 55 units, they're almost fully rented. We've talked to a number of restaurants downtown. Capone's, for example, has said that he's seen an uptick in his dinner business with that being rented out. Another thing you've probably seen on a fictitious anonymous letter was a 2-acre house of worship. I can tell you with clarity that there is no 2-acre ordinance. It was never introduced. It was never brought to the council. It showed up on an agenda and blindsided most of us in that we didn't even know that it was being proposed. But I can assure you that's not in the cards. We had no 2-acre ordinance introduced. It wasn't discussed. That's not going to happen, particularly in the northern region. You've got CAFRA restrictions. If you have a 2-acre house of worship, you can build on about 2/3 of an acre, and that's not going to be enough to accomplish a house of worship, proper parking, and the like. So that's not even a feasible option, I don't think. You've also probably received a letter from a group called TRRAO, Toms River Residents Against Overdevelopment. It's an interesting group. They had listed their address at 358 Hooper Avenue, number 206 rather. When I went to look up the address, it's a UPS store, and 206 is a drop box. We were able to find out who actually rented that drop box. Interestingly enough, it was the president of the Toms River Democratic Club, yet there was no disclaimer on the letter saying who the treasurer was, where the funding came from. It was basically a fictitious PAC. The interesting thing was my opponent, Mr. Petro, said he had no knowledge of it, didn't know what was going on in his part of the campaign. I can tell you that anything that comes from our campaign is vetted with all of us, myself and my 3 running mates, and it doesn't get released unless we all approve it. I think it's a pretty poor sign of leadership if you don't know what's going on in your own campaign, yet you want to run for mayor. I think that's a bridge too far. In addition, my opponent, Democrat John Petro, his law firm, interestingly enough, has sued Toms River not once but twice. The first lawsuit, they proposed a 244 unit development known as Dover Summit. They came before our zoning board. The yield on the property based on the zoning was only going to be 145 units. The zoning board turned them down appropriately. They threatened to sue. There was a court settlement of 175 units. So thanks to that lawsuit, we wound up with another 30 units over and above what should have been on that property. In addition, his law firm represented Bay Beach Way in the Normandy Beach area, the North Beach. They seceded back in the early 2000s and became part of Lavalette. Interestingly enough, when I looked up the properties, there's 69 waterfront properties, and the assessed value right now is $37.5 million. And now Lavalette's undergoing a reassessment. They're 15% under assessment, so you could really say that property is probably worth closer to, those ratables are probably worth closer to 42 million in ratables. That has cost this township millions in school taxes and municipal taxes that should have been going to Toms River, but courtesy of Jonathan's law firm wound up in the coffers of Lavalette. Also interesting, we've recently had to file our 29-day elect reports. Mine are transparent. Any contribution received by myself or my running mates shows up on our reports. That's not the case with Mr. Petro. The Democrats have a rather unique way of funding their campaigns. They're through fictitious PACs. You will never see the dark money that's funding his campaign. We'll never know who contributed. It'll be a PAC. At the bottom of his literature will be a different PAC every time you get a mailing. This is typical of the Democratic playbook. If they don't have a plan for or a platform for Toms River, what they'll do is attack you as an individual. Jonathan has shown that he doesn't have the knowledge, experience, or leadership skills to be the mayor of Toms River. I think I've served 16 years on this township council, 2 terms as Ward 3 councilman, 2 terms at large. I think I'm the one that has the corporate knowledge, the skill, and the leadership ability to lead this town forward into the future. And I ask for your vote on November 5th. And with that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with some of my running mates. Some interesting guys. As I said, we've got 2 guys that have faces for TV. You're going to meet them. And another one like me that has a face for radio. So take care. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Toms River Councilwoman Maria Maruca, and I'm supporting Mo Hill for mayor on November 5th. I've sat on the council with Mo for the past few years, and I know Mo to be a man of integrity, honesty, and a passion for his community. Mo and his wife Roseanne have raised their daughters here in Toms River, and 2 of his daughters are raising his grandchildren. I'm asking you to support Mo Hill for mayor, and also Josh Kopp, Matt Lotano, and Kevin Gahagan for council.
My name is Tony Vaz. I'm the mayor of Seaside Heights. I'm here today to strongly endorse Mo Hill for mayor of the Toms River Township. I've known Mo for many years. I find him to be an honorable man, a man who has energy, good work skills, integrity. He's shown the community and the county his interest in government. His election to Toms River, I believe, will be very valuable to the community and the people of Toms River Township.
Hi, I'm Ocean County Freeholder Joe Vicari and former mayor of Toms River. Please join me on November 5th and vote for Mo Hill for mayor of Toms River on row A.
Okay, we ready? Yes. You're going to see I don't have any socks on.
Go.
Welcome back. As you can see, I'm still in my summer uniform. I don't wear socks until it gets cold. So we're joined now by my running mate, Matt Lotano. He and his father have a commercial redevelopment company downtown. And I think we're going to kind of branch out a little bit and talk about what we can see working forward into the downtown area. Matt, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and a little bit of your history, and then we'll start talking a little bit about downtown.
Very good. Hi, my name is Matt Lotano. I grew up in Silverton. I moved to Toms River when I was about 4 years old. I've been here ever since. So I moved downtown when I moved out of my parents' house at probably 22 years old. I have an office on Main Street and my house is off Washington Street. So I keep very familiar with the downtown redevelopment program. It is a great program for Toms River. We're talking about increased ratables, very little impact on the school system. It's going to be great for the local businesses and residents. Hopefully we bring in nightlife and restaurants and things to do. You know, the BID is the Business Improvement District. They're basically the group of businesses in downtown Toms River that are drumming up ways to make the downtown more vibrant. A few years ago, they did like a sculpture area. There's a couple things they do right now. There's scarecrows up on Washington Street you can vote on. I know my daughter has one up there. I won't shamelessly plug it, but you know, they've been working for probably 25 plus years on getting a developer to come to Toms River to do a program and sink millions and millions and millions of dollars into something pretty much just like what is being proposed now. They've been working 25 or 30 years on it, and it is going to be fantastic for the town. A little bit more about myself, I kind of glazed over this, is I married my high school sweetheart, Melissa. We met in chemistry class my junior year, and we have two lovely children. My son, Jackson Fox, is at Westminster, and my daughter is in her last year of Washington Street, and she does very well, I must say. So I'm in it for the right reasons. My kids, it's very important to me for them to have you know, a wonderful place to grow up in, and you know, maybe we can answer some of your questions if you write in. Is there anything else we'd like to?
Well, I think, Matt, I think some of the areas, like with a major developer coming in, a lot of times there are amenities that they'll bring along with them. In other words, for example, I could foresee where the old Red Carpet Inn was, a restaurant going in that area, possibly a walkway over 166 that would connect that restaurant, or the western part, if you will, of Main Street. And that would open up that parcel. Is about 3 acres down there, which could be commercial, or again, that might be an appropriate spot for some townhouses and some condos. I'd like to switch now. I see we have a question up here that I think, you know, one of our viewers would like us to answer. It's dealing with the property on Route 9. It's approved for 145 apartments. It's located at what's called the Jonathan Plaza, which is actually where Church Road comes into Route 9. And the question was this part of the state mandated affordable housing? And the answer is yes. The mandate is basically, if you don't have a 100% affordable project, what that means is that all of the apartments in that complex would be affordable. So if we have a senior affordable, 100% affordable project like Cornerstone Commons, and let's say there's 120 units out there, all 120 of those units are counted as affordable housing. If you have a mix in there, it's usually an 80-20 split. That's what this project is. It's 80% market unit and 20% affordable. So yes, out of that 145 units, you would probably get 29 to 30 affordable units, and that's part of the 3,000 units that I mentioned earlier in the program. So I hope that answers your question. It's set back off the road. I did see the plan. You really won't see much of it from the roadway. It's going to be buffered by the trees that are in the area. They're not going to be taking all the trees down. I will tell you that there is eventually a plan to improve that intersection and carry Church Road all the way through and out to Whitesville Road. The county keeps talking to the developers that own the two properties, and if they can come together and extend that to Whitesville Road, that would make that intersection a lot easier. It's going to be difficult. This project will only have a right in, right out. What do I mean by that? There'll be, if you're coming southbound on 9, you'll turn into the project. If you're coming out of that project, you're going to have to come out and turn right and go southbound on Route 9. You'll have to go down to Whitty Road to turn if you want to go into Brick or any areas north of Toms River. With that, we're going to take a break for a couple of minutes.
Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank
Can
you.
you address the issue
Good job,
of
Matt.
taxes in Toms River?
But for the last 3 years, we haven't had an increase, and that's been difficult in this economic environment. As we said, the school system
All right,
has already
so who's
suffered
bringing in now?
a $2.5 or $2.7 million
Okay.
loss this year. Next year, it's supposed to go up to
What do
$4
you want to talk
million.
about? You tell me.
So,
We'll tee it up.
it's going to be difficult for them to
You
manage
want to
their
talk about the
finances.
solar project?
We've
we
been lucky
talked
so
so much
far
about that.
to
Maybe we'll talk
be
about,
able to keep that tax rate. We're going to
Both
strive,
sit
like I
down.
said, with the
There you go.
with the increased efficiencies. If we change
No,
over the
we
LED
can talk
bulbs, if
about
we get this
small
energy from the
businesses,
solar
different
farm
programs.
credits,
Okay.
that'll pay down some of our electric bills.
All right, I'm going to have
And,
you. I'm
we're
have
going to
you
look at
introduce
it, like I
yourself.
said, increased efficiencies throughout the township, so that we can partner with other towns in the county and probably do shared services. Hopefully, keep costs down of the government.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. I'm joined with one of my other running mates now, Josh Kopp. As I said, he's one of the better looking members. We bring Josh along when we're canvassing door to door. He gets us entree to the women. They like to talk to Josh. Josh has a small business. He runs Kopp Electric with his father. They do a lot of solar powered, both small commercial and residential. And with that, I'm going to introduce Josh and have him talk a little bit about himself and also some of the small business plans that we might have for Toms River.
Yep,
Josh?
thanks.
Okay.
So, like most said, my name is Josh Kopp. I was born and raised in Silverton. I went to St. Joe's High School, or St. Joe's Grade School. Went on to Monsignor Donovan, to OCC, and to Rutgers. I was also in the United States Army National Guard, where I was part of a reconnaissance platoon, where I was assigned in a sniper team. Currently, I work with my father at Kopp Electric Company on Fisher Boulevard. We're a small business in town. So small business is something that's very, very important to me. We need to help grow that idea. With the downtown redevelopment, we're really going to focus a lot on the smaller businesses and like Kopp Electric. Growing these companies. One of the greatest things that currently came about is the merchant card. Currently, we have a program that's available in the township where small businesses can sign up to get a tax rebate on your property tax. It can be, for instance, I believe Capone's is doing it. You go and spend $20 at Capone's, and you'll get, for instance, 10% off of back on your property tax. So I think there's a lot of different small business ideas that we can do in township. That's just one of them. But I think incentivizing the businesses to stay in town. I mean, we don't want small businesses leaving. We want family-based companies and keeping that township feel. One of the ways you're going to do it is keeping those those family companies and keeping the families here. And I think that's something that we're going to really drive home.
I agree with you. If you over the years, we've seen a change in a dynamic of downtown. When I was in high school in the mid '60s, Toms River had a very vibrant downtown. I mean, you went to Charney's for your stationary goods. You went to the community theater across the street. There were small restaurants downtown. And then gradually in the late 60s and early 70s, malls started cropping up. And there was a migration away from downtown, and we saw businesses closing downtown. Now we're seeing the reverse happen, where we have a lot of internet shopping, so the malls have to reinvent themselves. The Ocean County Mall, if you'll notice, they're undergoing a lot of renovation. They're going with multiple restaurants. LA Fitness is going on the outside. It's not that one big box where all the stores are connected. But we're also seeing an increase in people wanting to go back to that downtown area, and I think that's key. You know, with Matt, we talked about the commercial redevelopment downtown and the residential, but I think what you talked about with small business brings up another good point. As we see people coming back to the downtown area, they're going to be looking for the more smaller, the boutique shops, those shops that you don't have the big box. It's the unique, the artistic jewelry shops, that type of thing, small clothing and apparel shops that would spring up, along with, you know, coffee shops and some internet cafes. Also, it'd be nice to have some jazz clubs downtown, similar to what they have in Red Bank. And I think if we build up that growth with the residential component downtown, that it's going to feed into our small business. So. I think we've got a good nucleus to start off with. And again, as I said, it's not going to be all apartments. And I did have a resident that I had a discussion with her, and I told her it's not going to be all apartments. It's going to be a mixed use. So please, when you look at this, the apartments give us an immediate impact in that people can move down. These are small apartments. They're 700 square feet for a single bedroom, 1,000 square feet for a double bedroom. This Tapadagli group has their demographic. They've found that they have younger millennials and older empty nesters generally are the people that tend to gravitate to these apartments because they want to be near a transportation hub, which is our bus terminal. So again, I think we're going to take another break at this point and maybe bring Kevin on board. So. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Toms River Councilwoman Maria Maruca, and I'm supporting Mo Hill for mayor on November 5th. I've sat on the council with Mo for the past few years, and I know Mo to be a man of integrity, honesty, and a passion for his community. Mo and his wife Roseanne have raised their daughters here in Toms River, and 2 of his daughters are raising his grandchildren. I'm asking you to support Mo Hill for mayor, and also Josh Kopp, Matt Lotano, and Kevin Gahagan for council.
We'll talk a little bit about first aid stuff. Okay.
Public safety.
Public safety.
We only
Okay.
have 2 minutes.
I'm going to say you only got.
My name is Tony Vaz. I'm the mayor of Seaside Heights. I'm here today to strongly endorse Mo Hill for mayor of the Toms River Township. I've known Mo for many years. I find him to be an honorable man, a man who has energy, good work skills, integrity. He's shown the community and the county his interest in government. His election to Toms River, I believe, will be very valuable to the community and the people of Toms River Township.
Back. I'm joined in this segment by Kevin Gahagan, our third running mate. I will tell you we cut Kevin a little short. That's because we had the 2 handsome guys on first. So Kevin and I get to spend the last 2 minutes together. So Kevin, I'm going to tee it up for you. Quickly a bio, and then if you could go into a little bit of public safety because of your background.
Sure, thank you, Mo. My name's Kevin Gahagan. I was born in Toms River, or Dover Township, 1965. Graduated Toms River North, 83, retired Toms River police officer, 2011, past chief of Silverton Fire Company, still the current assistant chief, Silverton EMS. Real quick on public safety, you know, and there's a lot of moving parts to the town. It's not just one simple answer, Mo, of course. You know, with all the overbuilding, and everybody calls it North Dover. I'm kind of old school. I like Pleasant Plains.
Yeah.
Pleasant Plains is an area of town. When I was a police officer, there was nothing out there except chicken coops. Now, because of the state-mandated housing, the low-income housing, obviously it's drawn the demand for services, police, fire response, things of that nature. In addition to, you know, the drug epidemic that, you know, is, again, multifaceted. It's not, you know, just a heroin problem, inner city drug anymore. It's all levels of society in all homes, whether it's a welfare motel or a McMansion. And now we're actually starting to see more meth involved that, you know, the traditional Narcan doesn't work on anymore. So there's a lot of challenges that we face, and that dynamic is always changing with each and every societal change and the different mandates from the state
Yeah.
government and
Let
whatnot.
me ask you, have you noticed that Chief Little's had to change the deployment and the patrol areas? I think we talked about it before. There used to be one patrol car for all the Pleasant Plains.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's a demand for services, and that's based on FBI stats for crime, crime
right.
stats, how many police officers per population.
Okay.
And I think we have to.
Good. We're going to be winding it up. I appreciate you joining us. Again, we've had the three running mates, myself on here. We had Matt Latano, Josh Kopp, Kevin Gagan, and myself. And we'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow with
and
the debate.
debate.
Goodbye.